First off, I want to make clear what I was talking about earlier. There's this guy. I can't remember what his name was, but he has a channel 616 out there, and I reckon he plays multiple video games. And so I was making a response to some of his questions. He was asking people what games they wanted to, what wrestling games or what other games they wanted to see him play, or do like a season mode on. So I gave him, and I didn't clarify. It was my fault, but I didn't clarify to the exact one I was talking about. I knew what one I was talking about when I was writing it. I was talking about the third SmackDown game called SmackDown Just Bring It. It was on the PlayStation 2. And I mentioned about, some of the roster and the people that was on it. And I think he thought I was talking about SmackDown Here Comes the Pain. I knew there were legends on that. I've played every game that's came out since 1985, 86, whatever, since the Atari's been out. I have, however, not played the PlayStation 4 or 5, but I don't like the new games. But I thought it was cool that this guy was going out to play this in season mode. I gave him compliments on some of the stuff. I thought the Vince McMahon impressions of Vince McMahon was pretty spot on. I do a few of them myself. Sometimes I'll go around and I'll say, "I'm Vince McMahon, damn it," or something like that. I don't stretch it out like he does. I try to do it, but then, because like he said, it hurts your throat, doing Vince. There ain't but one Vince McMahon. But anyway, no, so then he makes some comments about, like I said in the other video, it got me hot when he replied. I didn't even know he'd replied until just a few minutes ago. I hadn't, backed out of here and checked and went back in. So then he talks about, the Benoit family thing, because Chris Benoit was in this game. And he makes a couple of smart aleck jokes. Thinks everything's funny because Chris Benoit, I reckon he thinks it's funny that these family members whoever's left have to live with this, family tragedy, that they no longer have these people around, and he killed like 3 people. And I don't find any joke pertaining to the Chris Benoit murder/suicide thing that he did to his family and to himself funny. I don't laugh, I don't joke about things like that. Then I go to comment on his lack of knowing how to play the game. And I played it about, like I said in the earlier video, I've played it at least almost 20 years ago. This game came out like 2003 or 2004. This Here Comes the Pain. So, SmackDown, Here Comes the Pain. So anyway, he, out of all people, like I said earlier, out of all people, he chooses a freaking cruiserweight. Borderline cruiserweight. You might make an argument he might have been 5 or 10 pounds really over the heavyweight limit. But at one time, he trimmed down to about 198, 199, something like that, or close enough to that. He still might have been Barrett. Well, I think normally he was about 225, 230. I think he trimmed down to about 215 or something. I don't remember what the cruiserweight limit was for the WWE exactly. But if I had to guess, it was a little over 200 pounds, but it was, he was a smidge under, just right on it or a little bit under it. But it doesn't matter. The point is, he plays the whole season, the first whole year. And I watch up till January. By that point, I'm disgusted because he loses like 5 or 6 matches, and then or 7 or whatever it was, which most of them were matches he could have won had he been paying attention, had he been pressing those buttons rapidly and hard and fast all at the same time, which he was not doing the best at. He lost because he's sitting there talking to his little old, as he admitted on the comments section when I read some of his comments. So I was making a comment. Now, like I said in an earlier video, and my wife did, if you're on the same side and agree with me, you have no trouble. But if you don't like the way I say something, and you don't like something I say, then your butt hurts. And you get upset. I was making an honest, not a lie, not a falsification. I made a true statement that I could tell by listening to the audio, because I can't see video because he doesn't have video to see him playing. But I could just hear the button pushing. I was comparing his season mode, his matches to mine. Match with Taker, Miz Taker, and me facing Brock with Taker. One-on-one match. And I was saying that in SmackDown, Here Comes the Pain, I don't have video of this, but I've told my wife this story many times. And I told my wife, I said, I sweated. I was so dead tired after fighting in that match alone. I didn't play for another hour or 2. I had to rest. I literally had to take a break. So my brother back then was over at Danny's, and he said, man, I wished I'd have had that video on taping it. Because back then they were still VCRs and tapes. So this tells you this takes us at least back to 2003 to 4. I mean, there was DVDs, but there were still VCRs being used, and my dad had a VCR hooked up, and he had a couple of blank tapes. And Darren, sometimes, my brother, had a habit of taping it. Well, on this particular evening, or whenever this was, or late evening, or whatever, or just before dark, I got up. Me and him was playing this game. He played a match or 2. I played a match. And I don't remember what led it up. I don't remember why. I don't know if it was a season mode match that I just wanted to do. Most time it was season mode. We didn't normally do. I know I can remember there wasn't no belts on the line or nothing, as I can recall. But it was a straight up match. And I remember me and him busted each other open. We traded finishers out. He got some finishers on me because I was so dead tired. I reversed some, he reversed some. Then he would get a few on me, I'd get a few on him. I used every last move that game could have in that arsenal. I tried everything. And the only way I won that match was when I...
Lay down, baby. Good girl. Good girl.
I had my wife come in. But no, but
for a
no.
little while.
Oh, okay.
I was playing with them for a little while.
But no, I did actually, I blocked this idiot now because I've replied to him and explained myself. Everybody else can see it. But this doofus asked for a game. If anybody had a game to recommend him playing a season mode on. So I thought, well, okay.
Can I go up there and play with them tomorrow? It's warm.
Well, that's what you do.
Okay. Because they like it when I
But no, I got pretty upset when he took what like all people do. They take everything ass backwards. They never read comments right. Their mind is always on something else. They're always plugging something else. They're always trying to, and like he was wanting to talk about some other series of game or whatever it was that I couldn't even tell you if I tried right now. But he was just going on and on and on. And I was interested in it because I'd never seen anybody play the wrestling game, on, YouTube. And I know what he was trying to do, and he was meaning well, but there were things he did and said that I felt needed to be pointed out. And then he gets mad at me for Prince Albert or A-Train or whatever you want to call this guy that wrestled in the WWF. Then he came back. He was Lord Tensai, Sweet Tea. I think over in Japan he was known as something else, so he couldn't use any of those names. I can't remember what he used over there. I actually haven't ever bothered to look up Albert. Can you believe A-Train? Can you not believe? Albert Train. Does that sound like something that would be? And he tries to say, oh, this guy had a good run. Yeah, he had one mid-card title reign, like the Godfather. One Intercontinental title run. One. Why is this guy not in the Hall of Fame if he was such a great guy? If he was a good wrestler, if he was being presented in main events, he wants to talk about 2002 to 2004, I'll talk about that. I'll be glad to. I watched it. He was mostly on SmackDown. And he was on SmackDown the whole time, I believe. Because this is when, after the WCW storyline, God, I can't, my throat's tickling. But anyway, I'm sorry about that. But I just want to come out here and explain myself. So if anybody else that watches his channel wants to criticize this guy in a good way, and that's all I did. I pointed out things when I first commented. I pointed out some things. And I also give him good compliments too. The fact that he was able to do that for nearly 8 hours and do it in the installments and go through all that, I give him credit for that. As far as how he played it, and like I said, I didn't have any visual proof. I could only go by audio. But what I could hear and surmise, since he was such I'm hosting a video. You could have hosted a million different ways. You could have had commentary while you were actually watching the TV and making your own thing. But he was so worried about getting all his little other stuff in and trying to, he wasn't really paying attention to the game the whole way. There was times that even this guy mentioned in this video that he was talking about. When he was playing the game he was playing, that Here Comes the Pain, SmackDown Here Comes the Pain, he was trying to get off subject, talk about other things that had nothing to do with wrestling. Nothing. Not one thing. Yeah, this guy admits, well, he don't watch wrestling. He probably hadn't watched it in, last 10 years or whatever it be. Otherwise, I don't think he'd be playing these old wrestling games, for one. If I had tried to keep all the consoles and all the games combined from the 1980s on up to 2017 was the last year I played. And that was when the PS3 quit playing games. I was a Sony PlayStation guy. And still would be. I, however, like the Nintendo 64. I liked even Super Nintendo. But this guy, I don't know. Like I said, I think he had said his name a couple of times, but I didn't even bother to remember it or write it down. You know me. I do good to remember my own, stuff that I have here at the house. But yeah, it just bothered me. I was like, if this guy wants a real challenge, he can take all his little internet shit off. He come challenge me with that game, and I'll fucking show him how to play that game. I could fucking show him. There's a night and day difference. Or he could sit there and watch me go through it. You didn't have to move the difficulty up, although you could make an argument it made it a little bit tougher at times. But I've played it on normal. I played it on now easy. I can speak to this. Easy on SmackDown Here Comes the Pain is pretty much what it says. But they still do reverse you just a little. But when you put that sucker on normal, and usually normal's not much harder, but normal on SmackDown Here Comes the Pain is a lot tougher than you'd think. And I don't remember exactly if I had it on that difficulty or if I had it on hard. I don't remember how many difficult levels it was on when I played. It's been a while. But I can speak to this. Because I remember the comment that Darren never saw that coming. I didn't see it coming. So I assume it was on normal. Because most of the time, generally, if you get a lower, say he had Matt Hardy. Say if you had Matt Hardy in there. And I'd had Taker or Brock Lesnar or Hulk Hogan or somebody, because most time I went with, I liked I liked RVD, but one of the things that made his season mode boring, and I know he don't take good to criticism too well, but this guy had Matt Hardy, of all people. Why not have somebody that has a little bit of the exciting move set or something? Matt Hardy has little to any excitement. Now, at least Rob Van Dam, I could see somebody wanting to play him through a whole year season mode or whatever. You know what I'm saying? This is not me trying to, but it just bothered me. I'm not, like I said, I'm not trying to, but it bothered me. Some of the personal things that he said about Benoit and the family, pertaining to Chris Benoit, the Chris Benoit murder stuff, it didn't need to be put in that video. It never needed to be said because Chris Benoit is an idiot. And I'll never will I have anything good to say about that idiot. New Jack and anybody else who criticized that man and who put that guy in his place long after he's been dead, I stick up for him no matter what. I know New Jack just passed away, but I'm saying, anybody who sticks up for him doesn't have a heart, doesn't know obviously what's wrong with them. I mean, they have to have a problem in their own mind if they're going to stick up for somebody who murders people. I mean, this might not have turned out to be a murder in the beginning, but Chris Benoit is factually a murder. There's no getting around it. There's no collusion. There's no ifs, ands, buts, or maybes. He did this. He was always thinking about doing something stupid. The reason he didn't was the fact that there was a piece to his puzzle that was still remaining. Now I can put two and two together and see that it had Eddie Guerrero been here. Would Chris Benoit have done this? I would say no. Okay? Because Chris Benoit, of all the people that did that stupid headbutt or did this stupid stuff in the ring and every bit of it was practically stupid. He was too rough. He was too physical in the ring. A lot of people like to complain about Mick Foley or Vader or some of these other ones that were kind of stiff or whatnot. Chris Benoit is one of the stiffest ones in there. I mean, I've seen this guy literally take his head and headbutt people in the head without doing the flying headbutt. Just naturally, you can go watch matches. He'd take dives through the rope. He could have stopped any of this. He could have walked out on Vince McMahon, and if he didn't agree with the creative, he could have pulled a Stone Cold Steve Austin. But he was so driven by doing that stupid horse shit that he just didn't care. And I cannot have respect for people who are murderers. I cannot do that. I'm sorry. But, everybody has their own opinion. But if you're on the opposite side of me, then you're wrong in this instance. I don't care how you slice it. I know that, like I said, this guy that's playing SmackDown, Here Comes the Pain, was just trying to start stuff. Hey, like I said, he and I just blocked his fucking reply thing because I didn't want to argue with him constantly all night. But I told him if he wanted a real challenge, he can come find his way up here, and I'll sit down there with him. I'll show him how I can play that game. I could play it better than he could play it. I know I could, and I ain't played it in, like I said, almost 20 years since it's come out. Since whenever I originally quit playing it, but he's like a lot of people. They get their little feelings hurt, their little butts hurt. They like to take things out of context, and that's why I just want to make it clear. So if any of his audience wants to know why his butt hurts so bad, it's because he knows I was right. I mean, that's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to make fun of nobody or him or anything else. I don't even know what he looks like. But like I said, it's not about that. I was right. I know what game I was talking about. I referred to one that he ought to try out. I said it had a cool roster. I named off some people. I named off, that it had, and I said, hey, it had some cool arenas too. I was comparing it to SmackDown Here Comes the Pain. The SmackDown Just Bring It was the first one they did without, well, let's say this. It was the first game on PS2. I believe that's what it was. First two SmackDown games were on PS1. It was SmackDown 1 and SmackDown 2. Know Your Role. See, I played them. I know. And this one was the first SmackDown game to have like intros and even included music and the whole 9 yards. First one to basically let you go in all kinds of different arenas at that time. And no, it's not. Here Comes the Pain does do a little better on things, of course, because it's the game after this one. But as far as comparing them, the Shop Zone thing was eerily similar. You had to have like so much money to unlock things. You had over, oh my God, I can remember at least 60 or 70 cards. Some of them were not as good as others. Some were arenas. Some might be attires. Some might be music, extra music in the game. Some might be, you might unlock, for one example, Fred Durst. If you ever play, and that's the lead singer of Limp Bizkit, if you ever play that game or anybody knows of that game, there's that guy in there. And I made the comment in referring to the third game, not the fourth one, but the third one, that there was no legends on the game that I could recall. All of the unlockables that were in the game, which most of them were like Vince, Shane, Stephanie, they had, I think they even may have had a woman in there that unlocked. I don't remember which one that was. But they had Fred Durst. They had some, like I said, they had some arenas you could unlock, music, things like that, And I was making an obvious comment to what was, and because he wanted a suggestion. This guy goes and gets his little butt hurt due to the fact that someone else out in the world knows how to play that game better than him. He sat there in lazily, and he admits to this. If you watch this 7-hour, I watched up to January, about the first week or so of January. I didn't watch his Royal Rumble match yet. I'm still going to go back, and even though I've blocked his reply and all that, I'm going to still go back and watch the rest of it. Ain't much left, about another hour. But he's like a lot of these people. Their butt hurts and everything. If it was a positive comment, he probably wouldn't have said nothing. But he gets upset because he knows I've made a truthful comment about how he wasn't trying as hard and he wasn't doing the best he could. I don't care. I know it's just a game, and I know what my wife was saying earlier, but I want to win every match, not just parts of them. I want to win them all. I don't care if I have all 3 belts. That's what you're supposed to do. They give you a shot at the title, you take it. You beat the champion, it's your title. If it's tag team title, now a lot of times I didn't challenge for tag team titles. I'll admit that. But the U.S. title and the Intercontinental, both of the World Heavyweight titles, all the time. I didn't care. Bring them on. Cruiserweight title, Every once in a while I'd get somebody like RVD or somebody. But most time it was somebody, that I knew the move set to, and I knew what everything was. But I played multiple people. But did I ever play as Matt Hardy? No, not for a season mode, and especially not for uh, a world title shot. First of all, Vince doesn't take well to Matt Hardy. Lord, think of it. It mirrors what Vince McMahon would do in real life. If they saw Matt Hardy, would they ever want Matt Hardy as the world champion? No. Yes, TNA pulled the trigger, and ECW, when it was owned by Vince McMahon, the not the original ECW, but the Vince McMahon version, when Matt Hardy was still there, yeah, they pulled the thing on that, because that wasn't that major of a deal. That was just a small, consolation prize. They've had people like Hurricane, Gold Dust. I can't remember all of them. Yoshi Tatsu. I can't remember. They had so many clowns on that show. I remember the first time they ever had that ECW show on, the first match, because I remember why I said, I'm going to check this out, see just what they have on it. But I still watched it up till then. And so I tuned in. Actually, I watched up till, let's see, the last time I regularly watched week to week, I'd say within the last 4 or 5 years, because I watch sparingly on Raw and stuff. I'll go back and watch, like, just kind of something on, just based, because I haven't watched it in a while, like AEW or something. But I don't watch it regularly now, because a lot of it's just not as fun as it used to be. And yeah, I mean, you pick fucking Matt Hardy of all people, like I said, that's why. If you had Shawn Michaels, a Hulk Hogan, an Undertaker, even RVD, if you don't want, they would have give RVD, a chance at it before anybody, or hell, might even, maybe even Rey Mysterio. I mean, everybody seemed to like him better. Matt Hardy was just somebody that, to me, watching him all these years, off and on, he's one of them that nobody really didn't take too much, unless he was paired with Jeff Hardy, or unless he was doing that stupid, silly junk with that deletion thing. Now, it didn't work too good in WWE, but in TNA and other places like that, when he used something like that, they took to it a lot better. But yeah, TNA would give anybody a world title. They gave fucking Tessa Blanchard the title. A woman. Anybody will, if TNA will give a woman a title, then any independent promotion's title will mean nothing by the time they get through hearing about Tessa Blanchard being a world champion. She's not legitimately a heavyweight. And all the while, people can say, well, the belts are props and that they're this or that. What? Of course they are. It's run by the promotion. But you make your belt look like shit when you've got 100-something-pound woman winning your world's championship. Why the hell did she want to win that? I'll tell you why. Because she's the only woman. She wanted to make history that night. But and China did the same thing. But China had, They had thoughts of putting that belt on her at one point. They went against it, but I know they've had thoughts. I know Jim Cornette tries to say, "Oh, there's no way." Well, he wasn't hardly. I mean, past 90, what'd he say? Past 97, 98, 99, he wasn't in the creative meetings. I mean, he said it himself. So he doesn't know whether China was going to win that belt or not. They went against the idea, but they wasn't shy about giving her the Intercontinental title, which is another belt up till 99. No woman, and they ain't no woman won it since. You know what I'm saying? So she just happened to be at the right place at the right time, and somebody like Vince Russo or a bunch of them had plans for her. And obviously, Vince Russo was, for all the crap he gets, China was actually not just your typical woman. Tessa was borderline tall. She's a little bit tall, and she had a little bit to her, a little bit, but she wasn't as strong or as built as China was. So why in the world, of all people, and I mean the champion they had before her wasn't nobody of name value, wasn't anybody that was going to sell tickets. So I guess they thought this hot woman, I guess, was going to, you know, sell more tickets. I don't know. She couldn't probably sell them a T-shirt. What are they going to do? What kind of what kind of phrases or what kind of logos or what kind of stuff can you put on a T-shirt that has a woman as your world champion? And there's not much you can do. But going back to what I was talking about this guy, it's sad to see all of the people that seem to get their little butt hurt. Every time you turn around to somebody, you can't try to be honest and all that, and it seems like they get their butt hurt. You know, there's just certain things I just cannot take. Now, I will not surrender. I will not back down. When I know I'm in the right, I'm going to continually talk about it. You know, I'm going to tell them what's wrong with them. I'm not saying I'm the greatest video gamer. I've not played a game in over 4 years. Wait a minute. No, wait. Well, my PS3, I haven't had a controller in about a year. Yeah, it's been about a year. But I haven't played a wrestling game in about 4 years. Or somewhere through there. Maybe 3.5 years. But it's not because I don't want to video game, but I'm picky about what ones I play and what ones I like. You know, I used to play some sports ones every once in a while, like baseball and different ones, and maybe even a football one here or there. It just depends. But no. Anyway, getting off the wrestling topic, if there's anybody out there who would want to chat or anything, you can hit us up on here. We'll come out a couple times, probably a day or at least once a day. But anyway, we'll probably get off here for tonight. But anyway, I just kind of want to come out and explain some of that stuff that I was trying to get at, that he misunderstood on purpose. But anyway, I'll probably get back on later on tomorrow or something.